In this world, North and South Korea have made peace and are working together to build a nuclear weapon near their border. This angers many world leaders, who pressure them to surrender the only warhead they have. Finally, their efforts succeed, and the leaders agree to give up the nuke. One day before the handover, the nuclear facility is set to close, and the two leaders discuss the process. The North Korean military general, Kang, tells them they shouldn't give up the only power that could put their countries at the top of the power chain. He explains that having a nuclear weapon gives them the chance to become a superpower like the US or Russia. The South Korean general, Park, admires Kang's boldness, but disagrees. He argues they would only lose because their enemies are far more powerful. He points out that having just one nuclear warhead doesn't automatically make them dominant. Next, the leader of the nuclear facility, Dr. Kim, explains that the handover process must happen under a witness. After the meeting, Kim tells Park that their nuclear warhead is undetectable and could be used to launch a preemptive strike on any country. Later, Park tells soldiers of both nations that they are one country and their union will happen soon. That night, Kim hears on the news about a comet that appears every 433 years and is expected to arrive tonight. Meanwhile, Kang and his loyal North Korean soldiers secretly move to steal the nuclear warhead and kidnap Kim. Every soldier is alerted to the situation, and they chase after them. The leaders meet again, and the North Korean leader orders his men to kill the traitors on sight and retrieve the nuke. Park, however, suggests that his South Korean team should handle the mission, reasoning that the North Koreans might hesitate to shoot their own comrades. Next, Kang and his men are on a boat with the nuclear warhead and Kim, but their boat malfunctions, and Park's team catches up to them, leading to a standoff. Suddenly, a fragment of the comet crashes, destroying one of the boats and causing chaos. Everyone begins firing at each other. Moments later, the comet arrives fully, and Park and his two men, Kang and his three men, and Kim are transported to the past. They find themselves in the medieval era, in the middle of a battle between Joseon Korean forces and Jurchen invaders. Everyone is stunned as they watch their ancestors fighting. Suddenly, a Jurchen soldier throws an axe, killing one of Kang's men. That's when they realize they are not dreaming. One of the South Korean soldiers throws a grenade at the Jurchen army. An unsuspecting man catches it, confused about what it might be. As he examines it, the grenade explodes, killing several of his comrades. The Korean farmers watching from a distance are stunned. Kang spots the Jurchen army general, Nitangai, and shoots his ear. The injury terrifies Nitangai, and he orders his men to retreat. The villagers gather around the soldiers, bowing and calling them heavenly soldiers. The group takes refuge in a cave, where Park points a gun at Kang, blaming him for the situation. Both groups of soldiers aim their weapons at each other, but Kim intervenes, urging them to work together if they want to survive. She also reveals that the nuke is missing. Kang swears to find the nuke at any cost. Meanwhile, Nitangai is scolded by the Jurchen leader for his failure. Nitangai tries to explain the extraordinary weapons used by the mysterious soldiers. The leader hands him a crossbow brought from the west, demanding that he seek revenge. That night, a thief named Yi sneaks into the soldiers' camp and steals their weapons and supplies, including modern-day chocolate. However, he gets distracted helping Kim scratch her back and adjusting the soldiers' sleeping positions. One soldier wakes up and alerts the others, who chase Yi. Yi throws what he stole into the forest and runs for his life. He flees to the village, where a North Korean soldier and a South Korean soldier eventually catch him. When they search him, they find only one grenade. To make matters worse, they are captured by local soldiers. The three are taken to the local court, while the rest of the soldiers blends in by wearing local clothing. They notice that Yi's full name resembles that of a famous Korean legend who defeated the invading Japanese forces. They also learn that Yi has failed the military test, just like in the legend story. Despite this, the court sentences all three to death, with the execution set for the next day. Meanwhile, Kim and the South Korean soldiers determine that the year is 1752, exactly 433 years before their timeline in 2005. Kim suspects the comet brought them to this era. Back in the prison, the trio is locked up together, but their friends manage to rescue them. Afterward, the soldiers confront Yi about the stolen weapons, but he claims to have thrown them into a river. Park interrogates Yi further and eventually confirms that Yi is indeed the legendary General Yi. From that moment, the soldiers begin treating him with respect and untie him. However, some remain skeptical, doubting how such a foolish man could be the legendary general. Some North Korean soldiers even suggest that it was their great leader, Kim Il-sung, who defeated the Japanese back then. While they argue, Yi escapes, but they quickly locate him using their night vision binocular. In the morning, Yi is shocked to find the soldiers in his house. They inform him they will stay with him from now on. Park gives him pen and paper and asks him to write his name, which amazes Yi. The soldiers then start training him. However, Yi doesn't take it seriously, believing it is just another one of his father-in-law's schemes. Park assures him they will help him pass his military exam, but Yi refuses, saying he won't waste his time again. Meanwhile, Kang and his men continue searching for the nuclear warhead and even create a map of the area. After a fruitless day, Kim advises Park not to push Yi too hard, warning that they might alter his future. She explains that Yi needs time to remain as he is before becoming the great general they know him to be. Meanwhile, Yi discovers the weapons and supplies he had stolen from the soldiers and decides to bury them, hoping to sell them for a good price later. However, a little girl spots him. Yi gives her a piece of chocolate and warns her not to return to that spot. At the same time, Nitange sends spies to the village to track down the soldiers. Next, Yi goes to a local bar and overhears stories about the heavenly soldiers. Intrigued, he returns home and questions one of the South Korean soldiers about who they really are. Meanwhile, a South Korean soldier explains to a North Korean soldier the truth about General Yi, clarifying that it wasn't their great leader Kim Il-sung who defeated the Japanese. Elsewhere, the spies encounter the little girl carrying a gun she found, and they begin to follow her, believing she will lead them to the soldiers. One morning, Park and Kim go shopping, but Joseon soldiers rudely throw their items to the ground. A local man informs them that security in the village has tightened recently due to rumors about the heavenly soldiers and drugs being smuggled into the area. After a few days, Kim determines the exact time the comet will return, offering a chance to go back to their timeline. She estimates the comet will arrive in 4 days, but admits she doesn't know where in the village it will appear. That night, Park and his men follow Yi and discover he is the one smuggling drugs into the village. They destroy the drugs by setting them on fire. Yi is devastated, watching his hard work go up in flames. Park confronts him, urging him to stop living like a thief and become the general he was destined to be by passing his military exam. Furious, Yi punches Park for ruining his life and storms off. A South Korean soldier follows him and offers to read Yi's palm. He tells Yi that he will pass his military test in 4 years, become a great general, and save the nation. Suddenly, the barbarian urchins attack. They kill the soldier with their arrows and take Yi to their hideout. Next, Yi is flogged multiple times as Nitange demands to know the soldier's location, but Yi refuses to talk. In response, they bring the little girl and threaten to kill her if he doesn't cooperate. Desperate to save her, Yi agrees to lead them to the soldiers if they spare her life. However, the girl bites Nitange's hand and tries to escape. Enraged, Nitange throws a spear at her, killing her. He then warns Yi that he will meet the same fate if he doesn't obey. The leader of the Jurchens gives his son the gun before heading to bed. At midnight, the soldiers launch a rescue mission and free Yi. They search the Jurchen tents for the nuclear warhead and eventually find it in the leader's son's tent. They take the warhead, but Kang stays behind to retrieve the gun. In the process, he wakes the leader's son. Relying on his quick reflexes, Kang kills him and escapes. Next, Kim examines the nuclear warhead and realizes that only 5 minutes have passed in their original timeline, even though they have spent 5 days in this era. She deduces that 1 day here equals 1 minute in their world. With the comet returning in 3 days, only 4 minutes remain on the warhead's original timer. The following morning, the leader of the Jurchens discovers his son's death and mourns for him. Meanwhile, Yi, reflecting on everyone's words, begins to consider taking the military test again. After a funeral for the South Korean soldier who died, Yi returns the weapons he had stolen, accompanied by some local men. He begs the soldiers to avenge the little girl, who was like family to everyone as she was an orphan. The soldiers hesitate, but Kang persuades them, vowing to help the villagers take revenge on the barbarians. The villagers gather farming tools and start preparing for battle. Yi draws a map of the Jurchen's route to the village and devises a detailed attack plan. When he presents his strategy to the soldiers, they feel proud of him, as it is the first time he truly seems like a great general. The night before the battle, Kim announces that the comet will arrive sooner than expected, tomorrow. Kang decides to stay behind, knowing he would be executed if he returned to their timeline. He entrusts Park with taking care of his men, acknowledging that he dragged them into this. On the day of the battle, Park urges Yi to abandon the fight and go home, warning that he will die in a pointless battle. Yi refuses, but before he can act, a man sneaks up behind him and knocks him unconscious. The man takes Yi away, but Yi regains consciousness in the middle of the road and finds his way back to the village. Meanwhile, the soldiers, who were about to leave with Kim and the nuclear warhead, return to the village one by one to stand with Yi and fight. A North Korean soldier left behind to protect Kim sees the barbarians advancing toward them. Realizing the danger, he abandons the boat and joins the fight. Meanwhile, the soldiers and villagers engage the barbarians. They successfully eliminate the first wave using the charges they set, but the Jurchens are too many. They rely on Yi's tactics and modern weapons to kill as many as possible, while the soldier protecting Kim fights alone. The battle intensifies as the soldiers run out of ammunition and are forced to fight with swords and spears. After brutal combat, one of the South Korean soldiers is killed, which enrages the North Korean soldier, Choi, who fights with renewed fury. Next, Kang takes an arrow meant for Yi and is ultimately killed by Nitangi. Park then attacks Nitangi, and after an intense sword fight, he manages to kill him. The Jurchen leader uses his crossbow to slaughter villagers, but Yi, demonstrating his remarkable archery skills, shoots him from a distance and kills him. Next, the soldier protecting Kim is killed, and a barbarian throws an axe at her. Just as the axe is about to hit, the comet returns, transporting Kim back to 2005 and saving her life. Only 10 minutes have passed in her timeline. When Kim explains what happened to the leaders, they don't believe her story. However, they are relieved to see the nuclear warhead has been recovered. A few weeks later, Kim visits a memorial dedicated to the great General Yi and pays her respects. In the final scenes of the movie, Yi has risen to become a general, leading his most trusted commanders, none other than Park and Choi. They prepare to defend Korea against the invading Japanese forces. As history records, Yi defends the country brilliantly. The Korean fleet, with just 13 ships, triumphs over 333 Japanese warships in a legendary victory. This is the story of both North and South Koreans. Thanks for watching. Please like the video and subscribe the Explanation Pro for more upcoming videos.